Welcome to episode 3 of the Movie Slinger starring
Nuan
and Dinul. This week for this episode, we decided to do something a bit different. We decided to put on a FB post.
Yes, and we asked our listeners to vote which movie they wanted us to talk about. So we had Extraction 2, we had Air, and what was the other one?
You Hurt My
Feelings.
It's another A24 film.
Yes.
Which kind of got released, I think, on digital recently. So after we put the post, after a few days later, there was a clear decision. What was the winner? Who was the winner?
It was Air, the new Ben Affleck movie.
Yeah. So before we get into this movie, do we have anything else we want to speak about? Any of the latest?
There's a lot of stuff happening at the moment, I think. The Dune trailer dropped, part 2. I didn't watch it. I think you watched it, right?
Yeah, I did.
How does it look? It looks good.
It really looks good.
Okay.
I watched the second trailer. I think we get a bit more glimpses of everyone else.
Right.
Thing is, I'm not entirely familiar with the Dune material. I read the graphic novel adaptation for Dune.
Who reads the graphic novel?
I do. I read graphic novels, a lot of them. So, I mean, you're a bit more familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I've read the main series of books by Frank Herbert. So, I know what's going to happen. Yeah. So, which is why I'm trying to avoid watching the trailer because I want to go fresh.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll hold any surprises plot-wise because he seems to be faithfully adapting the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want. I want the visuals at least to be, to kind of blow me away.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to see it. I saw some still images that people were sharing, and it kind of looks really amazing.
But I have to ask you though, because before Denis Villeneuve made these two movies, there was Dune made by David Lynch.
Yes.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Did you like it, or is it better? Or
when I watched it many years ago, I didn't really like it. But about a year or two ago, I watched it because it's now remastered in 4K and all that. And it's a bit of a messy movie.
Yeah.
They obviously messed with it. They messed with David Lynch too much, like the producers or whoever.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's kind of weird as well.
Yeah.
I mean, David Lynch, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of weird stuff in it. But I mean, on a production level, it looks really good. Like
the set
design looks amazing. The miniatures and all the effects.
Yeah.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's something you should watch. Even though as a story it doesn't fully work.
Yeah.
And they kind of changed the ending.
Did they try to put the entire story into
they sort of try to mash the entire first book into a 2 hour, slightly over 2 hours, I think, movie.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. But I mean, I don't know. It's an ambitious movie either way. I think it's an interesting one to watch, at least for the special effects and the production quality and all that. Yeah, but story-wise, it's a mess. But what Denis Villeneuve is doing is it feels like grander, and finally the technology is here. You can do everything.
It's much more better, I guess. Yeah.
And I saw that the budget for part 2 is like 110 million.
Wow.
It's not 200 million. And it looks that good.
Yeah.
So what are these people who are spending these crazy amounts on these franchise movies? What are they doing with $300 million?
With the CGI, right? Because even our last week episode with Flash, I think we had a discussion about it. But
Flash and whatever, Fast X and all these movies that are coming out right now, which
Yeah.
are really, really expensive.
Yeah.
And yet this movie is like not even $200 million. And even the first one was like 165 or something.
Yeah.
How is he doing that?
I think we should one day bring in our friend Travis, who's I think into economics,
Yeah.
and maybe like
Yes.
have a discussion about all
He
of
knows
the
all about the
economics behind
the Dune.
these budgets, huge big budget films.
We'll bring him on board.
Yes, exactly. So
I mean, excited for the part 2.
Yeah.
And they did say, I saw on an article that it said part 2 of a 3-part story, something.
So it's a trilogy.
And so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, does that mean Dune Messiah is confirmed? Does that mean it's confirmed, or are they splitting the first book into 3? That was not very clear. I hope when we go into part 2, it doesn't end in Paul Atreides will be back in part 3. Will return in part 3. I hope it's not that.
I feel like
I hope
Denis
it's-
Villeneuve is like giving like a Star Wars kind of a feel to it, which I like, like in that sense. But yeah. So other than that, is there anything else we need to speak about?
I mean, there's a lot of industry stuff going on, like
the whole-
Spider-Verse,
the whole writer strike,
writer
thing is
strike,
happening,
and like recently, like I mean, everyone was praising Spider-Verse. We were praising Spider-Verse.
Yes, I mean that was our first episode.
Yeah,
literally.
and then turns out like the people, animators, were going under a lot of crunch.
Yeah.
They were working really long hours, and so many
yeah.
people had to leave, and that's unfortunate. That's very sad
I mean,
to hear.
I think it's like it has become kind of common in this kind of industry.
Yeah,
I
video
mean,
games
even even like in, I mean, if you go towards the east, towards Japan with manga, like writers or whoever it is in the manga industry, I guess they are also going through something similar. They've also been overexploited, and I think
it's the thing in the video games.
Yeah,
industry
exactly.
For a long time.
Like the whole crunching and grinding kind of, I think culture has taken the best of these very creative like industries.
Yeah, and even like in recent years, we've heard a lot about Marvel, especially.
Yes, with their VFX.
The way they handle the VFX, because they don't decide a lot of things ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so things are constantly changing in post. So it puts so much pressure on the VFX people
and the artists. Yeah.
And I think maybe, okay, speaking of VFX, I mean Dune. Yeah. I'm guessing Dune looks that good.
I think because there's a practical effect sense
practical
to it.
And also like, because I think they don't use green screens.
They actually shoot in actual.
They shoot, and they what they do is they have these like fabrics or something instead of the green screen, so it kind of matches the lighting.
Yes.
And I have to look into this.
Yeah.
But I think they do a lot of stuff like that, like clever things. Yeah. Where it makes it easier for the VFX people later on. And I guess maybe they decide everything ahead of time. Yeah. So they shoot exactly what they need. There's not much things that need to be changed.
Yeah.
So maybe they are smart about how they handle their VFX.
I mean, if you take even Denis Villeneuve also, he's like a really good director. I mean, Enemy is also, I love Enemy, and there are many other films he's done. But I always feel like he puts a lot of effort when it comes to the scenery of such things.
Maybe he plans it in such a way that it makes it easier for...
A lot of in-depth when it comes to even his like world building and all. So, shall we...
Yeah, so that's what's happening. Some unfortunate stuff happening in the industry, but...
So I guess we'll head straight into the film.
Yeah, let's get into the movie.
So I guess the people voted and... we are finally going to speak about Air. Yes. So I want to actually thank all the people who voted on Facebook. Thank you so much for the votes. Here we are. We are speaking about the People's Choice Air, directed by Michael Jordan.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Michael Jordan directed a movie.
That would be weird, but
it's a movie about
Michael Jordan.
Well, not directly about him, but
so it's starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck too is acting in this, and Chris Tucker, who I've not seen in a while.
Yeah, in a long time.
And
Viola Davis. Yeah. And Jason Bateman is there as well.
So, I mean, this story, if you summarize the plot, it's simply about the Air Jordans, how Nike signed up Michael Jordan and to be a part of the Nike marketing, I guess.
Yeah.
And also this is a story about how Michael Jordan started this revolution where if any company uses your name for commercial use, you have to give a piece of your revenue to the artist or
sports athlete. Yeah. Because at the time, it wasn't a big thing. Nobody actually did it.
No one actually did it. Yeah.
And you see Michael Jordan's mom, who's sort of managing him.
Yeah.
And she really fights for this and makes a really good case that that he should be compensated for that. And it's really, one thing I really loved about the movie was that so the movie is about the people that made the deal happen.
Yeah.
And these are people we don't know. We don't know what
we
they
have
look
no
like.
idea. I mean, to the outside world, like when you look at this movie, these are just a bunch of executives.
Yeah. And what I found interesting was that we see them.
Yeah.
The one person we don't see is Michael Jordan's face.
Yes.
In this movie, there is a guy who sort of, you see him from the side, from the behind, but he never speaks.
Yeah.
And you never see the actor's face who's portraying Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's deliberate because we know what he looks like.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't need to see him because it's not about. It's about the other people. And Matt Damon says in that speech he gives in that boardroom, right? That's like the best scene in the movie, where he says, everyone will forget who we are, but you will sort of be immortalized.
Immortalized by the show.
Yeah. And I think that's a decision Ben Affleck made, I guess.
Yeah.
To show, we get close-ups of everyone.
Yeah.
We never see Michael Jordan.
But also, like, speaking about that, the elephant in the room, why Michael, whoever was playing Michael Jordan, why didn't they show his face? So Ben Affleck said in an interview that if you actually do that, the entire film kind of feels fake.
Right. It'll break the illusion.
Because it's not Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan is a very huge person.
He's recognizable.
He was recognizable, I mean, by his body, physique and all of that. So I don't think there is anyone else who could really match to his physique and his look, because everyone knows who Michael Jordan is.
Exactly.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
So that's interesting because he actually confirmed that, right?
Yeah, he actually.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't check the interview.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, okay, they are not showing him because they don't want to break the illusion.
Yeah.
They want to, and also it's. Like I said, it's about the people we don't know. Yeah. So he gives close-ups of everyone, but not him.
But also, I feel so. I feel there's a bit of it's a double-edged sword, right? One thing is, in that sense, yes, you need to respect Michael Jordan. He's a legend. I don't think putting an actor, showing that person's face would do any justice to the film, because then it'll look fake.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I felt like, because of this issue, and I feel an issue with this is that Michael Jordan in this film was very rigid, because Michael Jordan
is very quiet.
Because Michael Jordan is a very charismatic person. I mean, even in this film, we see clips of Michael Jordan playing and meeting up with people, and there are photos of him smiling, and also, in that sense, I felt that the acting, this didn't do much justice to that. It's just that's a problem I see.
I don't think it's an actor issue. I think it's more like because they are not showing him.
Yeah.
He's not speaking.
Yeah.
So he feels like a very introverted character. Now, I don't know Michael. Yeah. I don't know what he's like in private.
Yeah.
When there are no cameras, so maybe he is like that. I don't know.
But
and he is very young at the time.
Yeah.
And he is sort of letting his mother handle
everything.
All the negotiations.
She was like the manager and his mom.
So I don't know how accurate that portrayal of Michael is. Yeah. But also it's again that comes from that decision not to show his face. So you can't have him saying anything. You can't see his face.
But I also
it is a bit awkward though. You kind of you're always seeing him from the back.
and also from the side you can see either you can see his
Hands,
shoulder
his shoulders.
or his hands.
His physique looks right.
Like, physically, I mean, he's a really tall person, but that they did it well. But other than that, that was one good element that I liked, and another element was that at the very beginning of the movie, when we open up, when this film opens up, we see clips of everything 80s, right?
80s, yeah.
Ronald Reagan becoming president.
Yeah.
We see a video from Wham. So they are trying to establish the world that this is 1984. And at the same time, I mean, yes, that is usually there in most of the films when it comes to a time period kind of film, they try to establish the world using clips or pictures or whatever it is. But what I liked was there was this small, I guess, few minutes or few seconds where when the scene opens up in the office, the video quality, there was grain in it and texture, and it feels like it's an 80s movie. And I actually wanted to see more of it, because there were also scenes in the film I wish they could have put it so that you get more of the feeling, this is like an 80s.
It's actually shot in the 80s kind of.
So
yeah, I guess.
If you remember in the office scene, like you could see the grain and it's not very clear, but that I wish they could have done that a bit more in the other parts of the film. So, but again, it's I guess they didn't want, because I mean
it is a new movie. And there's a lot of 80s stuff. My favorite part was when Matt Damon is in the car and he's calling from the car phone.
Yes.
And that is like such an 80s thing, I guess. I'm in a car and I'm calling, kind of a thing. So that was funny to see. And the performances are really good. I liked everyone in it, and Matt Damon especially is really good. And there's a lot of humor, especially with him and Ben Affleck interacting, and they're friends again.
They're friends in real life.
So that's all.
They had quite a lot of chemistry, right? I mean
they always
have
always good.
So that was nice to see.
Yeah.
But other than that, also I wanted to talk about the world of 1984 because when we are opening up to the film, we find out that in 1984 Nike was the third biggest shoe company.
Yeah, they were not the biggest.
They were one of the biggest. So like top three was one of them was Nike. Second place was Adidas.
No, so actually, I think the market share they show was Converse is
the highest.
Adidas is second, and Nike is like sort of struggling. They're not doing very well. Because they have grown through the running shoes market, but they can't break into basketball. And they sort of established that if they can't make it with this deal, they will have to shut down the basketball division.
Yes,
and so many people are going to lose their jobs. So they actually show that before the deal is finalized, where he looks around the office and he sees all these people. And then even like Jason Bateman's character who supports him.
Jason Bateman plays this like I think he's like
a marketing guy.
Sales manager or something.
He's the marketing department. And he says that so he takes shoes the free shoes from their department to give to his kid. Every week or something. So he's given
because there's a little backstory to this. I guess since most of our listeners have watched the Air movie, I think he's divorced, right?
He's divorced,
and his kid is no longer in his how do you say?
In his custody. So every week he goes and gives a new pair of shoes. But if the thing shuts down, he would have to buy the shoes. So it kind of
that was a bit funny, but also it was really sad. Which there's a nice mix.
And I think because they had to establish because Matt Damon's character is not married. So he doesn't really have. There's no real stakes to him. It's other than losing his job.
I mean,
he doesn't really seem to care that much. So you have to show that other people with families.
That's the interesting thing about like Matt Damon's character, right? Like when this film establishes him as a gambling addict, and he drinks, and he just he does his usual things. He doesn't really have a family or anyone to look up to.
But he's correct.
So. it's interesting that, and also another interesting point was when it came to Matt Damon's character and Ben Affleck's character. So Ben Affleck plays the CEO of Nike, Philip K. Knight. So there's a scene in the film that shows the board, which shows all the what was it? Was it rules
values,
or
the
their
company
values, right?
values,
Brand,
yeah.
the company values. Oh, we are offensive. We always take risks. I like those shots and how the CEO is acting around this whole deal. Because,
and it's sort of the title of each chapter of the movie. They show like one value, and that's gonna be the next segment.
So that was nice, because the CEO is actually, because I mean the CEO himself says, right, I can't take such risk because I have to answer to the board. Why am I giving $250,000 to one kid? But again, I mean, I think at that time, I mean, when it came to basketball, it was rising. I think people started watching a lot more basketball other than football. And I think at that time, I think Michael Jordan, I think in this film, he's
very young.
He's a rookie, and I think he just came into the NBA. And what was interesting was like how why did Nike, Adidas and Converse choose him was simply because of how he acted in the game. Like, because Matt Damon's character says that, look, he knows that he's not going to get the ball, but he acts so relaxed. And like when he gets the ball, he like shoots his shot and like he gets the three-pointer.
Actually, he realizes that this guy is going to be so great in the future.
Because Matt Damon says, like, instead of giving it to this 18-year-old, he could have given it to the other guy.
The more experienced
player. But then this player who had the ball with him decides to pass the ball to Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan is like so chilled and so relaxed, because you can see even in his body movement, he's just moving his arms around. He's like totally relaxed. He doesn't no care in the world, and he gets the ball and then shoots a three-pointer. So I think that's the one small clip that I think changed, I guess, Michael Jordan's entire life. That one single, right?
That's the decision that Matt Damon's character takes is based on that.
Because it's not only him that sees that, even Adidas and we see.
But they don't see it to the same extent. Because that's why they don't realize that, especially like the people at Converse, like they say that he says like he knows exactly what the CEO is going to say. I've never seen anyone like Michael Jordan like the same.
Even in the film we see I think Adidas, they have this blackboard and then they have like circle Michael Jordan's name. I think they were doing some stats on him. I think they were just like lining up all the players, whereas Matt Damon was like looking at VHS tapes of basketball players.
And the thing is, the other companies don't understand basketball.
Like
you see, the people at Converse, they see Michael as another player who they are adding to their roster of, players that they are featuring, right?
And also brand ambassadors.
And they will say, okay, you have, I think, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, right? The two of them, and Michael will be the third. And that's where it makes a difference, because they assume that Michael is going to be just another one of those three. He's going to be the third person.
And also
but Matt Damon's character says he's going to be way better. And he makes the point to Michael Jordan's mom that he understands just how great Michael is going to be. He's not going to be just another player. He's going to be the greatest of all time. And when Mrs. Johnson goes to those meetings, she realizes, okay, the people at Converse don't care. They don't get it. And the people at Adidas are having problems within their company because their CEO died. It's sort of like Succession.
The CEO died and family.
It's a family business, so everyone's trying to take control.
Also, interestingly, like if you look at Converse and Adidas at that time, Converse was mostly popular for the athletic shoes. And Adidas was famous for...
They're the best shoes. Technically, the
best shoes. And also most of the Adidas, like their marketing mostly went for rappers who were making songs about them at that time. They mentioned
that.
So
Yeah.
I think I feel those are the reasons why I think Michael Jordan's mom realized, look,
Yeah.
if I hand over my son to one of these two companies, they won't really do a good job of like helping him grow or having whatever they thought he had.
Yeah, she realized that Matt Damon's character is the one who
understood his son.
Yeah, the potential and all that.
Because Matt Damon's character literally went to their house and had the conversation with his mom saying, look, here's the deal, okay? You're going to go to one of these, you're going to go for these meetings, right? And this is what this CEO from Converse will do. This is what this executive from this meeting will do.
Yeah.
They don't care about basketball. They don't know your son's potential, but I do. And he gives a lovely explanation about what each and one of them would do. And then he says like, once you're done, if you feel like you want to talk to us, you can, you can come and talk.
And he goes behind the back of the agent. He gets really mad. So that was funny.
The agent was really good.
He was good. Yeah, he was really good. I forgot the actor's name. I've seen that guy. He's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He was really good as well. And there's a lot of humor as well in the movie. Like there's a lot of, and then Marlon Wayne shows up.
Yeah.
At one point, I miss seeing that guy. He's actually a good actor.
Yeah.
It's just that he used to do a lot of dumb comedies and stuff. And even Chris Tucker, right? I feel like both of those guys should be.
I have not seen them in a while. I don't know if they have done anything else because I have seen like little clips on YouTube of him doing stand up.
Right. Okay.
But
so maybe
he's doing that. But again, so speaking about Chris Tucker's character, Howard White, was it with him with Marlon White, right? Where he was talking about Dr. King's speech.
Oh yeah.
So that's where that's why I noticed it because so there's this little scene where Matt Damon's character and Marlon White's character they meet up. Marlon Wayne, sorry. They meet up in the bar and they're talking about Michael Jordan and about Nike and what do they think about Nike in general. And Marlon Wayne's character says, look, do you know I have the original copy of Dr. King, of Martin Luther King. And did you know that I Have a Dream part was never in that speech? He compromised. He just...
He realized the crowd was not reacting
and
to he made it up
he just made it up on the spot. And I think that also played in the whole pitch because...
they improvised a bit.
Yeah, they improvised quite a lot because...
the board meeting, right?
Because when they were making the shoe, so the CEO, Matt Damon's character and also Jason Bateman's character and Chris Tucker's character, they're having a meeting. Okay, this is how the meeting will go. As a CEO, you should show up 5 minutes late to the meeting to show that that this is an important meeting.
But then he explains why he's late, and it's this very awkward kind of situation. Like he over explains.
And
he shows up. Ben Affleck's character.
Yeah. So I think that whole Dr. King speech also played a lot. I think it paid off in the film because we see that. When they're showing Michael Jordan the clip of his first game and with the whole background music and all, he realizes, look, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And then Matt Damon gets straight to business. He's like, look, here's the deal, right?
You're going to do this.
You're going to do this. You're going to climb the mountain. And when the reason why you're going to climb the mountain is people won't believe in you.
Yeah.
And you also make us believe in ourselves by the way you're playing and all. And whatever this shoe is resolved around, because this is just a shoe. Once you step on it, it's what makes it special, right? That's the whole, I think, point of even in this
film.
Shoe
is just a shoe.
The shoe is just a shoe until someone steps onto it. And Matt Damon then says that it's not the challenge is not like climbing on top of the mountain. The challenge is actually how do you get down from the mountain.
How do you get down gracefully? Because on the way down, because that's what America does, right?
Yeah.
They love building up somebody, but they also love bringing them down. And when that happens, you'll have to be able to come down gracefully. Yeah. Because that's where most people fail. They crash on the way down.
And also, like, I think that's an important part of that speech because I think historically we've seen a lot of athletic people like Mike Tyson, Tiger Woods, I'm just naming a few, who've actually climbed to the top.
Yeah.
But when they came down,
yeah.
they went through either scandals
Yeah,
or they
yeah,
went to prison or they
Yeah.
either they were how do you say it? Were they cancelled?
Yeah, I suppose.
Maybe
like lots of controversial
stuff. So I think at that when that pitch meeting happened, I think at that time Matt Damon's character I think wanted to tell him the truth, whereas I felt the other meetings they just want to say, hey, look, you're gonna have this shoe for for your next basketball game. And you're gonna have your Mercedes Benz.
The car is also like a thing.
Deal, like, cause Michael loves that Mercedes. Which is a weird little thing. So, again, I think that's that one scene that kind of changed the entire movie. I think as an audience, you realize the gravity that Michael Jordan has.
And I love how they show like little montages of actual
him,
clips, what his life is going to be.
Yeah. Because like also some of y'all who watched the film might be wondering why do we see Michael Jordan holding a baseball bat or why is he holding a golf club? Because if you actually look into Michael Jordan's career, when he was in his prime, he actually got fed up of playing basketball, that he wanted to do stuff like baseball and all just to get a bit of challenge. Cause
even in Space Jam, you get that part of the story. I think his dad wanted him to do baseball or something like that. Yeah, I think it's something like that.
So I think that's also a big part of this film because Michael Jordan is not an ordinary person. Like he's someone who loves challenges, and even when I think so. We need to speak about after what happens after the meeting, right?
Yeah. So after that, it's like all the waiting to see who they're gonna pick.
Yeah, and, I think everyone has kind of lost hope on him because initially, like everyone, including his agent, was like, "Look, Michael loves Adidas. He wants to be a part of Adidas,
But also the actual shoe that Nike makes it looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
And they also do this thing where they are so to play basketball the shoes have to be over 90% white colored, right?
That's a rule.
But they say, hey, screw this. Let's just put some color into this. Let's put the Bulls. They put Bulls colors.
And we'll pay for the fine.
We pay for the fines. And the CEO doesn't know. Ben Affleck's character, he doesn't know. He only finds out at the meeting.
He is like, wait, what? We're paying fines for this kid? And like, and Matt Damon's character is like, yeah. Deal with it.
Yeah. And then then they're waiting for the big big moment where
so interestingly, that's when the phone call comes into Matt Damon, and this is where I think history kind of changes because Michael Jordan's mom says, "Look, we will come to an agreement with your 250,000 whatever your salary that you're offering, but every shoe that goes under Jordan's name, a percentage of that revenue will come to us."
Yeah.
And because at this point in sports history, no one really
did
any deal like that. Because everyone would either just sign up with a brand and whatever.
They got some licensing money up front. Or an annual thing.
Yeah. And after that, they never really got any, royalty revenue.
So really the company makes all the money after that. Yeah, when they changed that, so that was really cool to see. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
that's where it changed.
Yeah,
so they actually changed something for the better. So
because if you so towards the end of the movie, we find out what happens to our to all these executives and people at Nike. I think Chris Tucker's character becomes the VP of Nike. I think I recently found out. I was just going through Wikipedia. And I think Matt Damon's character, interestingly, there was a court case back in 2014. Regarding these universities using their students' names for commercial uses and not paying them. And he was actually one of the witnesses. Would you say eyewitness for them?
He was involved in it and he was trying to get them fair pay and all that.
So he actually he's the reason why most of, I think, the sports world itself has developed to the level that it is today,
Yeah.
because if that didn't happen, I don't know what would basketball or any sport in general would
Yeah.
look like.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know whether any athlete would stay longer than they would used to.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Definitely helps.
this, But, and also interestingly, we kind of get to find out what happens to Converse. They get bought over by Nike.
Yeah, that was cool.
Adidas is still doing.
Adidas is still there.
Still there, but I feel that Adidas, they're now more focused into football.
I'm not sure, but I think
Yeah.
with the Air Jordans, I think Nike did sort of overtake everyone else.
everyone else.
They became like one of the biggest brands.
Yeah, but from what I've observed, it's like now Adidas is mostly into like tracksuits and athletic running shoes and football. They have kind of captured the football market. For some reason, they went back to the European market. That's a different
Well,
story.
they are
for it.
European.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, I think we are.
There's one more thing I want to mention was that in the movie, we find out, this is something I'm not sure I knew before. We find out that Nike's sort of tagline, "Just do it." the origin of that, right? They explain that it was actually a guy who was going for his execution. They asked him any last words.
And they're like, just do it.
Just do it, right? And so we learned that, and I think there was a good payoff for that, because when the phone call comes from Mrs. Jordan, Matt Damon thinks they are going to get rejected, and he says just do it. He just say it, right? I think there was something like that, so I thought that was a good callback.
Yeah.
And there was also the other line was the whole stepping into the shoes line, which comes up multiple times, and in the third time, she says, "A shoe is just a shoe until my son steps into it," and they kind of it evolved to the next level. Now it's not, it's Michael Jordan now. It's not just any athlete, right? So I liked how that develops as well throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So there was like a lot of cool things that were set up early, and they paid off as you watch the movie. Yeah, that's a really good one, man. I mean, I'm really happy.
I'll be very honest, right? Because so I knew this film came out. Yeah. I was a bit hesitant because like I think we need to give a bit of context on this, because there are a lot of biopics coming out, right? I think last year we had the Elvis biopic. We also had the who else? There were a lot more. I think Whitney Houston had one.
Right.
Elvis, I think.
And there's always biopics coming out.
Yes, even Freddie Mercury even had one, right? With the Queen.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. I mean, there was so...
Elton John's one. Obviously, a lot of musical ones.
Yeah, a lot of musical ones. And also, there are a lot of these... also, like these very corporate-related biopics.
I do like the ones where it's like a business idea and how it gets made.
Yeah.
So, recently we had a lot. We had... I thought Blackberry was another one.
I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, that's really good. I watched it. It has Jay Baruchel and Glenn Howerton, main characters. They're really good in the movie. Those two are like giving really good performances. I mean, obviously Glenn is like so creepy. He looks so crazy in this. Yeah. And
there was a Tetris one also.
Yeah,
right?
and the Tetris one.
I heard the Tetris one was good. I need to watch it.
You have to watch that as well. Yeah. Because the Tetris one is about how they try to get the licensing to release the game on the Nintendo Game Boy. And the thing is, because the game was made by this guy in Soviet Russia, they have to go into Soviet Russia and
during the Cold War.
During the Cold War, and the KGB is there, and obviously the Soviet government is very careful about what because it's intellectual property as well, and they basically own it.
Yeah.
So there's that happening, there's ideological stuff happening, there's spy stuff going on. So this is actually, the Tetris thing is actually sort of like a spy thriller.
Oh, okay.
You'll be surprised how suspenseful it is, even though it's like a video game.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone, you gotta check out Tetris. Maybe one day we'll talk about it in a future episode. Blackberry was the other one. I think you mentioned The Founder.
Yes.
The Michael Keaton one, which came out a few years
ago. Because me and Noan, we were chatting about this, but I actually like that because it was about how McDonald's started.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was started by two brothers. and Michael
Keaton's
Keaton's character kind of took over this,
Yeah.
and he basically bought the company and kicked them out, gave them a loyalty check of like maybe $100 or something like that.
Yeah, he sort of took over. I mean, he was a more
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
savvy kind
Yeah.
of person.
Than in comparison
Yeah.
with these two brothers.
Yeah, that's
so-
another really good
Yeah.
movie to watch. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
these corporate or these. I mean, it's a lot of
Yeah.
people in boardrooms and speaking, but it's really good.
Good.
Right? It's people giving pictures and presentations. And also, like, it's history, right?
Yeah.
Like, even in BlackBerry, you see
Yeah.
how big BlackBerry gets.
Yeah.
And then you see Steve Jobs giving the presentation for iPhone,
okay.
and you're like, you can feel, like, the gravity
Yeah.
shifting. And it's like, it's really,
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to watch because these movies, because you see how history is changing, these
Yeah.
pivotal moments.
Yeah.
So Air Jordan,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
one of those moments, you know. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, I'd love to watch more these kinds of biopics.
Yeah.
I think they're way more interesting than music biopics because the music biopics are the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
It feels like the same thing.
I mean the themes of them
Yeah.
going through drug abuse or
Yeah.
bad marriage or
yeah,
whatever
it's the
it is.
same thing. Everything,
yeah.
every rock star has the
rock
same
star,
problems.
It's a rock star's lifestyle.
But these business ideas are
Yeah.
somehow
weird, and it's like weird because like these ideas, they are not like they're not these very conventional ideas. They just come
Yeah.
out of nowhere. Like people get inspired by something random and like,
Yeah.
hey, why don't we, you know?
And I just
Yeah.
remembered back in the day, in the 90s, there was a movie called The Pirates of Silicon Valley.
Uh-huh.
And it's the sort of the story of Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, how they are
okay. coming
up. You should check that out as well. That's really
yeah.
good.
We should want to do an episode
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
All these corporate.
Speaking of
ideas.
Steve Jobs, I remember back in 2013 there was a Steve Jobs biopic starring Ashton Kutcher,
There's two movies. There's
Yeah.
one with Ashton,
and there's one other one
Fassbender.
Fassbender.
The Ashton one is not very good. It's sort of like a
Yeah.
music biopic.
Okay,
It goes
yeah,
through the
I
whole thing.
Yeah.
You don't watch that one.
Yeah.
Watch the Michael Fassbender one.
But you have to admit though,
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher does look a lot
He
more
looks like
Steve,
him, yes. But the thing is, Michael
Yeah.
Fassbender is so good.
Yeah.
You forget
The whole
that he's
thing.
Michael.
Yeah.
You just okay, that's Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Because his voice.
Yeah,
and his
I watched
yeah.
it like he was like
Yeah.
like
That's a
yeah.
really good movie. I love that movie. Yeah, so
What were like the other I mean, based on true.
it's like
true
business
story.
ideas, right?
Yeah.
Those
I
are the-
remember I watched the was it The Big Short, the one
The
about
Big
the
Short.
2008
Yeah.
financial crisis. I think Brad
Yeah,
Pitt
yeah,
was in that. Ryan Gosling was in that, which
Steve
was
Carell,
unfor-
Steve Carell, and
Steve
all that,
Carell, yeah. That was a good one, I would say, in that sense. I mean, when it comes to 2008 financial crisis, it's a lot. There's a huge there's a lot that happened that I don't think any film can entirely explain, but
They do
the Big
Yeah.
Short kind of explained it in more simple terms.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And there was another movie. Was it called The Laundromat? Laundromat
Yes.
is about the Panama Papers,
Yes.
the company that was involved in all of that. So that was also pretty good. I think was that Steven Soderbergh? I forgot. I forgot who the director. I think it was him.
Must be.
I forgot. That was really good. That had Antonio Banderas and Gary Oldman. I think they were the
Yeah.
heads of the company that was doing all the illegal, handling the money for all these people. Yeah, so that's another one of these types of movies.
but it's interesting, right? Because like there was a period of time where we had like back in like the in the 2010s we had these all these biopics about Steve Jobs and all these CEOs and all, and then all of a sudden we
Social Network.
Yeah, Social Network.
How did we forget Social Network?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden there was this like it kind of disappeared, and then slowly we've kind of come back to it.
And this year it's like we have three.
We have three, like literally three in one go. It's weird.
And they're all good.
Yeah. They're all good.
I can confirm they're all good.
Yeah, no, I mean the trailers are pretty good.
Yeah. So check out those other movies.
Yeah, but other than that,
I mean, I would like to see more of that kind of movie because that kind of they're not very expensive to make, and you can it's very entertaining, and you kind of learn a little bit about history as well. Yeah.
And also it kind of inspires you too. So in
Yeah,
that sense,
that's actually, yeah.
I think especially in these very troubling times, it's good that films like these came out. Like a bit
I mean,
more.
especially Tetris and
Yeah.
Air are movies that are kind of, they are, how do you say, kind of heartwarming
Yeah.
kind of stories.
I mean, not Blackberry, because
Blackberry
we all know what
It's
happened
about-
with
yeah,
Blackberry.
yeah. They screwed it up.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, but that's
Simply
it's
that.
It's good to watch movies like
So,
this.
like, so we talked about this film. Okay, if there was a list of all these based on true stories, like films, right, or we call these biopics, where would you put this in the movie?
Oh.
Yeah, would it be in your top five?
I mean,
or would
the thing is, we are just. I can't figure out because there's
Yeah.
so many.
There's so yeah.
And I'm off the top of my head, I just mentioned all the
Yeah.
ones I remember.
Yeah.
Um,
But it could
It's
be
hard.
in your top 20, 50 maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Top
Because
20,
I
top
feel
20,
like
yeah.
top 20 it's
Top
there.
20,
Because
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good. It's
pretty
well
good, yeah,
written.
yeah.
The
Well acted.
setup is really nice.
Yeah.
It looks 80s. And also the soundtracks were pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that it was appropriate to
Yeah, they just
1984.
picked all the songs that
So-
were popular at the time.
Yeah. And I mean, I gave it 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I liked it. I think I saw a lot of good reviews. And I think that's pretty much
Yeah, that's
it.
pretty much it. Yeah.
Um,
So let us know, in the comments, what did you guys think about Air? Have you watched it?
yeah.
Whether you liked it?
And also, please subscribe and stay tuned because we have more coming up. Next
Yeah.
month, we have a lot of films to talk about.
Yeah, lots of-
Oppenheimer, Barbie, and the Mission
Impossible.
And also Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones is actually out like yesterday. We still
Yeah.
haven't watched it.
Watched it. Yeah,
Maybe we could be talking about that soon.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
And a lot more happening. So, yeah, stay tuned. And I'll see you all next week then.
See you guys next episode.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.